Art of Relationship Show is copywritten. No one is to use any portion of the show without express written consent from myself, Greg Dazinski, or the Art of Relationships. Thank you.
Welcome to the Art of Relationship Show. Greg welcomes live calls from listeners in helping with numerous marital and relationship problems. There will be no more tit-for-tat arguments. Greg gets to the root of couples' challenges in a rapid, matter-of-fact format, plus applies compassion and humor. Join in discovering how to improve your relationship and your own life. Listen, laugh, and climax. Greg is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan. To others, he's simply known as Detroit's love guru.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Art of Relationship Show. I'm about a minute or two late. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Everybody stay warm out there in the Midwest, okay? It's wicked cold, and unfortunately my heart goes out to the family members that are losing loved ones out there to the cold. So my deepest wishes. I want to talk to you about mean things, okay? And it's not funny, not at all, okay? It's sort of ironic and sad when it comes to it, and some people look at it, can be funny when you hear different aspects about mean things that people do to each other, meaning couples. What are some mean things that maybe you have done that triggered, or maybe they were triggered from an argument, from something, you know, the tit for tat argument, you know, he did this to me, so I'm going to get even. You know what? How many people have that urge, that craving inside of them to get even with their partner when they did something disrespectful, maybe mean to you, and, you know, hurt you, and your automatic impulses, right? Your reaction is to get even. I'm going to make you feel what you did to me. I'm going to make you feel the same, or hell, I'm going to make it worse. So look at some, you know, mean things that you did to each other. And not only that, what about after you did them? Did you feel bad? Did you feel remorseful? Did you feel ashamed at yourself? Some people, oh, you know what? He deserved it, Greg, or she deserved it, Greg. And they sort of own it righteously, and I'm not saying that's a good thing at all. You know, it's sad when somebody you love and you hurt one another, okay? We all know that's what I do for a living, is trying to help couples beyond that situation. And I get couples in here that, you know, they explain and tell me their narrative, their story, and to be able to look at it, I'm like, dang, you know what? It's not that often I'm surprised anymore from all the stories I've heard with people doing mean things to each other. But does love, maybe love's so powerful and makes you feel so weak at times, or so angry at times, that it takes you out of your element and you do these mean things, okay? And my question is, why? You hurt so bad. Does it make you any better to get revenge? Does it make you any better to, oh, I got even, that type of thing? Or does that put you in the same class as your partner that did mean things to you? And I could tell, we all know, you know, a mean thing is definitely cheating. What about, you know what, cheating and you're, you know what, get somebody else pregnant? I've worked with many situations like that where, you know, she gets pregnant by another guy, or he, you know what, impregnates another woman, and all of a sudden they have a kid. He has a kid, 2 kids, one from his wife or girlfriend. Great, right? Terrific. But he also has one from the one he cheated with, and they're the same age. You look at, there's a lot of mean stuff people do, and it might not be intentional, but you have to look at your actions and what does it take for you to get more emotionally mature and to be able to get more emotionally a hold of yourself, where, you know what, I am not doing this stuff. And it's those, you know, age-old adage that, you know what, she made me do it, he made me do it. People need to take responsibility for themselves and not do these mean things to each other anymore. Sounds simple, right? Common sense. It's not. When people, you know what, are in love, or they love each other, or they think they love each other, and especially if you have a low self-esteem or low sense of, you know, self, to where, you know what, you are not good at regulating your emotions. You fly off the handle. You want that revenge because you're hurting so bad, and you want him or her to feel what you feel. And maybe the show, I don't want you to write down, ideas that I'm giving you or that I've experienced working with couples over the years. And, the mean things. I don't want you to get ideas. And I joke around with couples in my office. You know what? I've had stories of this and that, and I don't want you to use them. But, mean things. I don't want it to get to this level where, you end up doing these mean things. I don't want you to sell yourself out. Or are you just generally, are you a mean person? Are you one that's cold, that's calculating? And my question is, do you really love yourself? Or are you even capable of loving somebody else? Or are you loving somebody because it's all about you and your selfishness? I'm going to ask, okay? I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm looking at these evidence. What does it take to get to that level in that situation? Hey, welcome, Kevin. I appreciate you chiming in. I've said and done some bad things, but I've never done it to hurt my significant other, but it seems like she's doing things intentionally just to hurt me. And there are some things that, triggers out, and it's sad that people that supposedly love each other do these things, and we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. We do things that might be disrespectful, and it might not be intentional. Sometimes it is intentional, but I want people, and I've talked about this over and over on my shows, to be able to own your behavior, to be able to own what you do and say, genuine remorse and guilt. You know what? I'm sorry. I did whatever, and I'm not going to do it again. And it's, well, but you made me, but I was feeling this way, so I did this. That you're trying to justify your behaviors, and it's sad. And it doesn't give anybody the right to get even, to get back, because it doesn't make that person any better than, say, you are, or it doesn't make you any better than you are. I get phone calls, maybe mean things or evil things that people do. I get phone calls that from a guy, from a lady, it happens, doesn't matter the gender. And Greg, you know what? I need some help. There's trust issues. Okay, what happened? I cheated. Okay, what happened? I got caught cheating. Well, he cheated on me, and you know what? I wanted to get even, so I cheated on him. And I hear it in a voice that she feels ashamed. And I said, you know what? It doesn't feel that good that you sold yourself out. And I don't know this person at all. And all of a sudden I hear the tears. No, it doesn't. I sold myself out. So I want you to be proud of yourself and look at, you know what? At least I didn't get sucked into this situation. I did not get sucked in to this tit for tat and this mean-spirited aspect. And I can tell you stories about people. There have been women that have stabbed their boyfriends for looking at another person. Get me? Not having sex, not cheating, maybe, catching an attractive woman walking down the street and he gets stabbed in the sleep by his girlfriend. True story. He ends up, frickin' pouring alcohol, or on her privates. You understand? For cheating on him. Some toxic stuff, almost like an acid, and pouring it on her privates to get even because she cheated on him. It's ridiculous. Or, she pours super glue in the head of his dick, his penis, or super glues his head to, or penis to his thigh, to his stomach. Yes, these are true stories, people. There's been people where they actually take bites, not just biting, but bites, pieces of flesh from their partner's arms, chest, whatever, that I've dealt with over the past, that out of being mean and out of vengeance. And you look at one of these situations, okay, does that person need individual help? I think absolutely. What would it take? And I get biting people or doing stuff out of self-defense. I'm about protecting yourself, but these aren't self-defensive mechanisms. These are because one of them cheated on the other. One of them just, maybe disagreed with their partner. I think you were wrong. Maybe you should have handled this a different way. So he or she gets stabbed, getting stuff, broken beer bottles, broken wine bottles, crushed over their head. I could go on and on over these situations, and it's like, you know what, how do you come back from this? And it's ironic how a lot of couples I work with in these situations, well, we love each other, Greg, we want to fix it. And I'm like, okay, great. There's isolated incidences out there, but if it's a chronic, happens on a daily or weekly basis, man, that's not so cool. My suggestion is, in those situations, the couple needs to separate to be safe, because I don't want any other situations to arise that are going to have somebody end up being fatally injured, getting killed, and one goes to prison, or one getting so maimed or getting so injured that it just destroys your life. And it's not a good situation. And part of this, mean things that you've done to each other, are you able to own it and be able to work on, I'm not going to do these things any longer, and what can I do to, get a hold of myself? Do I need work for myself? Or maybe, everybody hears the term anger management. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe you don't like yourself, and there are people that explode. They go from 0 to 100 in anger, and there's no building point. You understand? There's no, I feel, pissed off, more angry, and it builds. These people go from 0 to 100 like now, and that's where, it's very, very difficult, and you need intervention. People that feel it building up, it's a lot easier to help those individuals to build up and stop the mean stuff to do. You walk away, take a breath, get a hold of yourself. It's a lot more positive outcomes with those. But when you feel, there's no stage building, you get me? It goes from 0 to 100, bam, now it's very difficult to have an intervention or help those people, because there's no stopping point. We have to look at what can be done. Is there medication, that type of thing. But looking at it, what inside of you is allowing yourself, or do you think it's right or normal, or are you justify doing mean things to each other, throwing things at each other? And I'm not talking having fun, a pillow fight, water balloons, that's different, that's sort of fun. I'm talking about being mean to each other, and also not only physical mean things to each other. What about your words, and what do you say to each other? There's some people that can cut very, very deep, okay? And to be able to look at, they'll bring up stuff from the past. Well, you're a lousy da-da-da-da-da, you get me? And they'll just rip each other apart, to cut each other verbally. And it's very difficult to come back from that, because you're wondering, do they really believe that? Do they really think that? And then you're always on guard, and what do we do to get back together where we can be connected? I'm not saying it's impossible, but it takes a lot of work. So mean things that you do to one another, look at, why is it happening? Look at yourself. Why are you allowing yourself to get sucked into that game or that situation to where you're going to do hateful, mean, revengeful things to your partner? I get it, and some people are justified. He cheated on me, she cheated on me, so it gives me the right to do this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no. Getting your butt beat, in abusive situations, getting beat because you didn't have dinner on the table in time and you're 5 to 7 minutes late. True story, people. That doesn't justify you getting beat. And my question is, why are you with these people if they don't own up to the mean things they do or say to you, and they're not working on stopping it? And we all know there could be substance issues. There could be alcohol issues. There could be, drug issues. Talk about all those aspects. That could be triggering all this stuff. Or is this part of that person's personality? Now, if it's a personality issue, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get to. And I said at the beginning, love, being in love with somebody puts us through the ringer, puts us through all these types of emotions that we might, that we might not experience before, and we don't know how to handle it, so we explode, we get volatile. I don't want that. That's where I tell people, I want you to hold on to yourself, to give 100% to a relationship, but also give 100% to yourself, to where you're not selling yourself out. You're not going to do stuff that you regret. You're not going to take vengeance out on somebody else where you can walk away. They're not worth taking vengeance out on if it comes to a chronic, everyday situation. You get me? And another question, what does it mean when your spouse can't look you in the face? Great question. And this is a situation to where if your spouse can't look you in the face, there's usually a few situations. Either they feel guilty or they feel shamed. That's usually, you know, a common theme I go after. If they can't look you in the face because they feel like a dog. You know, a dog gets in trouble, gets in the trash, and you look at it, the dog puts the head down. You know, they're guilty. They feel shameful. They feel embarrassed. So that's usually what happens. Or another situation, if they can't look you in the face, the other aspect I look at that, it's usually they lose respect for you. That they have no respect for you any longer, so they can't look you in the face. You get me? So that's one of the things, usually the shame, guilt, it could be, you know, part of being hurt too, where they can't look at you in the face anymore because they're afraid they're going to lose it, or they're going to be afraid that they're going to break down and start crying. And that's where the shame, the guilt, being embarrassed comes from, okay? The other end of that spectrum that I see when they can't look you in the face is because they don't like you anymore. They have lost respect for you, okay? The latter, of course, when they lose respect for you or they don't like a person anymore, that, you know, I can't even look at that person, disgusts me. When it gets to that point, it's very, very difficult to heal and to move on. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult. No, that's a great question. Well, if they know you did those things to them, why would you marry that person or stay? Good question. A lot of people in those situations that they did mean things to them, and they feel it's maybe a fantasy land, okay, where a lot of people hit the situation to where, okay, I'm going to marry that person or stay, hoping it's going to get better, and it never does. You get me? Or some people will stay if mean things were done to them, they were cheated on, they were maybe hit, slapped, and there's a lot of women out there that hit and slap their guy too, and you know, the guy tries to restrain them or walks away and she jumps on his back, or vice versa. Or guys, we all know, you know, hit women, abuse women. I'm not for that crap at all. But say they think it's an isolated incident, they cheated, they hit, they did something mean, and they stay in the relationship or they marry that person after the fact, thinking it will get better, thinking they can heal, but in reality, they can't ever get over it. So that's where that situation, I run into that a lot as well, to where a lot of people, men, women, they both do it. They stay in a relationship or marry the person thinking, oh, once we get married, everything's going to be great. All the past is behind us because we're married now, but they still can't get over it. And that's where I talk about, you know, is there genuine remorse for your actions? Do you really own your stuff? And are you able to get at the pain that maybe being mean to your partner, are you able to actually get at the depths of the pain or devastation it caused on your partner? You get me? And that's usually where I go after with couples, because if you don't, then they're going to feel like you don't care. They're going to feel like, you know what, you think, oh, it's no big deal. It just says sorry, no big deal. And they're left over here feeling not cared about, devastated, crushed, humiliated. All these aspects, embarrassed that it happened to them. All these aspects, this is where I want people to be able to own their stuff. And when stuff goes on that you're mean and you did stuff, you know, horrific stuff, like I said, you know, hitting people, stabbing people, super glue their penis, you know, putting toxic chemicals on a woman's vagina, you get me, I could go on and on and on, sexually assaulting their partner to get even. That's not cool, and that needs to stop. You know, not only the physical aspects, you know, that's assault and battery, people. The super glue on the penis, the chemical burns on the vagina. These are assault and battery, and you know what? You could go to prison, big time, okay? But you look at what is it inside of you that is doing that. Either you're just an asshole, woman or man, right? Not gender bias towards a man. You're either an asshole, woman or man, and you know what? That's just you. And I tell people, you know what? You need to be away from those people to be safe, to be healthy physically, emotionally. But, you know, if it's an isolated incident and that something happened that was mean, bold, you know, disrespectful, whatever it is, that person needs to own that stuff and get at the level of pain that was caused to be able to heal it. Because usually if it doesn't, if that person, oh, I said I'm sorry and let it go, and they feel, you know, the one that did the betraying or the mean thing or the bad thing to their partner, oh, I said I'm sorry, you know, get over it, it's been a week. It doesn't work that way. That tells that person that, you know what, you're more worried about yourself and don't care about owning this situation, want to hurry up, forget about it, move on. And it tells your partner that you really don't care about the depths that it caused that pain. So you need to be able to own your shit. Excuse my language, okay? You need to own your stuff and be able to own what you did and try to learn what impact it had on your partner. And that's usually where I, you know, run into a lot of people. They can't ever move on. They can't ever get past, I did this, Greg. She can't ever get past this. Or I did this and he can't move on, Greg. And I did, my show yesterday, I think, was on moving on. And I talked about these situations as well. And to be able to get at the depths is very, very important. And there are a lot of people that think, you know, they got cheated on right before they got married and they went through with it, or they got cheated on, or they got hit and they decided to stay in a relationship assuming they can get over it. And I'm not saying it's a wrong thing. They think they could heal, but the reality is that sometimes they can't. But again, it depends on what the betrayer did, what that person did that was mean, the effects it had on that person, and are they owning it and make sure, and number one, it doesn't happen again, right? And number two, you know what, are you able to get at the pain that, you know what, your partner is inflicted with, that they're enduring? And I'm not talking, you know, you think, like I mentioned on moving on, you think that the pain is here, if you can see it, you know, here down in the camera, low, but in reality, they're devastated. That pain is way up here. And if you try to minimize it or try to degrade it or belittle your partner's pain for something that you did that was mean, they're going to feel like you don't care and it's all about you and you want to just excuse it and move on. And it doesn't work that way. So that tells me, you know, I look at those situations, so hopefully that can help you and be able to go after and start working at, you know what, hon, babe, you know what, I want to know how much I hurt you. I want to know how much it devastated you that I did this, because I want to own it. I want to feel, you know, your pain. I'm not you. I probably won't be able to feel your pain or what you went through, but I want you to try to explain it. I want to know what I did. I want you to understand, and I'm very, very sorry for that. And you know what? I love you. I don't ever want to do that again. But then again, a lot of people say stuff, right? Lip service. I'm sorry, and they do it again. I'm sorry, they do it again. I'm sorry. And also, pretty soon that sorry doesn't mean anything anymore. It has no merit. It has no bite to it. No pun intended. It doesn't mean anything. And then your partner, like I said, looks at you, and if they lose respect at you, and if they can't look at you because they lost respect for you, they can't believe anything you have to say. They roll their eyes, or they just in one ear out the other. You know what? I've heard this before. I've heard this a million times. Oh my God, I've heard this from her, Greg. She said this. I'm sorry. Keeps doing the same thing at least 500 times. Okay? So it's very, very difficult to earn that trust. You need to only, you know, admit what you did, try to reach the level of pain, and also show genuine remorse and guilt for what you've done, and work your butt off to not do it again. Or if you're having a hard time, get some help. Get some professional help, counselor, you know, whatever in your area, or talk to me, anything I can do to help. But that's the starting point. And I love your questions, man. Thank you so much. They're great, great, great questions. Please share the video, people. I want to help as many people out there as possible. The Art of Relationships show, you can catch it live Monday through Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. But also, remember, people, the videos are always there, okay? You can check it. Go on my public figure page, facebook.com/Detroit's Love Guru, and you can find the videos, and they're all there. So you can go back and look at all the shows I've done over the years. And also, you know, even longer since I've been doing the live show, Facebook. It's been probably over a year now. So, but the audio versions are all over the place. Spreaker.com, that's Spreaker, not speaker, but Spreaker with an R. Spreaker.com has all the audio versions on it. iHeartRadio has a bunch. Spotify, SoundCloud has all of them. TuneIn. There's a bunch of other ways that you can listen to all the shows I've done over, God, probably 3 to 4 years now, that are there at your disposal. They're a way to help you, okay? So check them out. And you know what? I appreciate the questions once again. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And you know what? I want to help you have the relationship that you've always craved. Or if it's a toxic situation and you know what? You're getting help or seeking help, I'm all for that. And it's just not working and you realize, you know what, that it's a toxic situation, volatile for you. I want you to be safe and to be able to go after, you know what, self-respect, self-love for you and go after happiness, okay? So peace and love to everybody out there. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. My website, theartofrelationship.org. Check it out. I appreciate everybody out there. Take care.